Welcome to the Curious Hearts Collective podcast, here to help you align to life in joyful, creative, and inspiring ways with your host, Vanessa Trufin.
No, we just finished our captain's call and I'm just feeling really lit up right now.
Okay.
It was just like a really great call and I'm feeling just like joyful and excited. That's why I was like, oh yeah, I was gonna give myself a little break and I was like, nah, let's just jump right in.
Well, why don't we tap into that energy though? Because I think, especially I don't know where you're at in the whole launching of Curious Hearts Collective, but
Mhm.
I have felt recently the power of having a community around you and like how it lights you up and how it can be that energy that pushes you forward when you're kind of not feeling it, right? Like,
Ooh.
I don't know how you felt going into this call, but like you go into the call and then you come out on a high, and then it's like, oh, let's just go push into this next thing. I thought I was going to take a break, but I don't need to, because you're like
Mhm.
riding the wave of that.
Yeah.
And the importance of having that community that's there for you, like I think it will be inviting and inspiring for people who are like, okay, what is this Curious Hearts thing? Like, oh, maybe I need my community around me. So what do you think about
No, I love that. Thank you for presencing that. I think it's a great idea to just ride that wave
that? Okay.
because that's exactly where I'm at and I'm like, yay about it. So I think that would be really good.
Okay. All right, let's do it.
All right, let's get started then. Angus, I'm so excited to have another session with you where we get to sit down, have heart-to-heart conversations, and really just get to bring out each other's gifts and wisdom with the hopes of inspiring others. How you doing?
I'm doing well, and it is always my pleasure to talk to you, Vanessa. And I'm so excited today about where we're going, because it's been something that's been on my heart for the last couple of weeks for our tribe, the women that we support. And then hearing what you just got out of, I'm super excited to ask you questions and create this conversation today.
Awesome. I'm really excited too. And to preface, you and I met through a very unique, empowering community as well. And you and I met in a situation where we were coaching together with the vision of like we get to take our students and walk them across the finish line, completing their vision, their goals, and really aiding in their transformation. And in your experience, how does community, or I guess what role does community play in your life?
Yeah, well, so I'm going to take it one step further than
You.
that. And I just want to remind everybody that we as humans, we are not singular beings. We're not meant to be out here doing it on our own. We
Right.
need partners, we need relationships, we need community. And so, Vanessa, you and I have talked about Mayan and I and our business and creating and attracting that ideal partner, that
Yeah.
spouse that comes into your life, because, and you've seen us work together. Like when
Yeah.
you have that right partner, it's like you just light each other up and you set each other up for success. And so whether you have that partner in your life or not right now, it's incredibly important to surround yourself with that community. And I'll go even back to that coaching program that you and I were part of. Separately, we didn't know each other, but we went through that program as students and then graduated from that program. And then they asked us to come back and coach. And we just happened to meet during the coaching portion.
Yep.
But during that phase, as much as we grew through the student version of that program, I specifically remember having conversations with you. One was on a road trip where you called me higher. Like you set me up for my next level of coaching, that it was like I was doing okay. I was like holding my own, but you're like, no, 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 we see you at this level. Like when you speak, you have this. And it called me to a new level of how I saw myself. And I truly believe that our identity is what sets us up for our future results, both success or failure. And so having that structural, supportive community around you when you're not feeling it that day, or even when you do feel it, you hit a home run, but like if you don't have somebody to celebrate with you,
Mhm.
even that kind of falls flat. So like we need some sounding boards to keep us up when we're low, or to ride that wave when we're high, and just keep us going. And I love it because before we got on this call, you shared that you were just on another call preparing for coaching.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna share what you
Yeah.
said was like, I got off that call, I'm just riding this high. I was gonna take a break, but I don't need a break. Let's go for it. And I'm like, yes, that's the whole point of the community, is like
Yeah.
you get everybody else's energy, and it pushes you through to be able to do more, be more, have more energy, have more courage, more tenacity. You can do more because you're riding that wave of all the energy of everybody else. And I just love for you with your Curious Hearts protocol or Curious Hearts Collective, like that. I know that you have that level of energy, that wave for this community. You want to talk about that?
Oh my God, yes. So, first, what I'm hearing you say now is you're talking about the importance of community. And in the words that you shared, it wasn't just, it's great to have people that love you and support you. There are real, genuine benefits to having a community, whether it's personal, whether it's, hey, I broke my toe and I can't walk, I need somebody to help me walk my dog, or it can look like anything in your life. And
Yeah.
it can be anything, but having a community, a family, a chosen family to lean on, to be supported by, and to support just aids us in our journey of being a human on this earth.
Yeah.
And for me, community is something, it looks so different. I have my community of friends that we talk about transformation, we talk about leadership, we talk about emotional intelligence. I have my community where we talk about music and nerd out about how this music makes us feel. I have my community of poly friends where we talk about the relationships that we're in and how to navigate our challenges and our joys together. And then I have my actual blood related family where we talk about what it was like growing up. And that's where I'm now. I'm living with my family. They opened their doors for me and said, "Hey, we know that you're getting divorced. We know that you don't want to be in Arizona anymore. We're clearing out a bedroom for you. Tell us when you're moving in. Tell us when you want us to drive to Phoenix to help you move your things." And wow, that power of community just it's incredible.
Yeah.
And along those lines, like, thank you for sharing that. I'm still in the works of, I don't even know what it's going to look like yet. And I think I have a vision in my mind of what the Curious Hearts Collective will be.
Sure.
And I think it will surpass even what my vision can be. And it's a great vision. So for me, the purpose of the Curious Hearts Collective is to create a space where curious people, creatives, people who are hungry for more, who want to get to know who they really are and know themselves better, can come and be in a space with like-minded people. I get to bring in incredible people like you and so many others who get to share their wisdom, share their knowledge, ask powerful, amazing questions, and really get to open doors to possibilities to people that they don't even know what's possible. I don't even know what's possible sometimes.
Yeah.
And the more I learn, the more I realize that, wow, I don't know as much as I thought I did. But man, do I have such a hunger and a desire to learn more. And fostering a community with creatives, with people who just want to embrace authenticity, create a world of unity, of love. It means a lot to me, and I'm really excited to that you're on board, that you're helpful, and such a powerful tool, and really to have a strong loving man just get to open the door for me and for so many just means a lot. So I love that question. I loved your answer. I love that we're getting to talk about this. And we went into this call not really knowing what we were going to talk about. And I love that you saw that empowerment in me coming from that call where I just felt like my heart was just buzzing and full of love and excitement.
Yeah. One of the things you said there, two things. One, you acknowledge that you don't really know it all and you don't know where you're going. And I love that because as you named this collective, it's the Curious Hearts, and like by definition, curiosity means you don't know. Like you don't know what's in front of you. You're curious about finding it out. And I love that, but it's also humility. Like the older I get, the more I realize, the more I can acknowledge that I don't know is the beginning of wisdom. It's like I don't know everything. I know far from everything. What I do actually know is very, very small and can fit on a very small piece of paper compared to everything that's out there. But I'm curious. And with curiosity comes the opportunity to know and to grow. And so I love that about you, the energy that you're bringing, the humility and the space that you're creating. But I also want to recognize that there are some people who maybe don't have the support of a family, or they don't have the support of a community, or maybe they just feel a little weird. They don't know where they fit in. And when they try to have these conversations or ask these questions or get curious, some communities, some families shut that down. And so they don't have the place to go to explore their thoughts, their feelings, and see, like, are they going the right direction for them? Do they even know what direction they should explore going? And I hear in our conversations your desire to create a space for that person who's not sure where they belong, knows there's greatness in them, but doesn't know where to aim that attention, where to aim that focus. And you're there creating this group so that they have that support, and they have the encouragement, and they have really the courage and the curiosity to go and figure that out and know that they're going to land in the safe hands of your community.
Oh, thank you for saying that. And you ended it with the courage. You said the courage. And I used to, I don't know, I feel like I've seen myself as a leader in my family my whole life. I've been the class president since you could have a class president, right? And all through college, like every opportunity I had to be a leader, I always chose it. And I think when I hit my 30s, I started to resent and fear that. And through our work, our own individual work with coaching and before as students, I realized how fearful I was of not only seeing my authentic self, but showing that to my family. I am a Latina woman, first generation. My mom, came here from Guatemala, and she had her own vision of what she wanted her daughters and her family to be like. And I honestly terrified the hell out of my mom because I wanted to do and accomplish and learn and see so much that she was like, oh my God, I'm so scared of that. And until I really, with shaking hands and a sweaty palm, had the courage to allow myself to be seen authentically and to say, hey, this is how I'm feeling. This is what I'm going through. This is what I'm tearing apart in my life so that I can grow something new. I didn't know that how they would react and how they would support me. So a lot of people do seek community in other places, but sometimes it just takes a lot. It can be a little or a lot of courage to look within our own individual families first. And through the Curious Hearts Collective, it's something that I actually want to guide and teach people how to do, is how to, one, identify who you are authentically, and two, how to communicate that to those people most important in your life.
Right.
And through Avanci, my bridal boutique, I noticed so many times how many women didn't have the courage and the confidence to say, I don't like what you're telling me to wear. This is what I want. This dress right here is what I want to wear. It represents me. It's the perfect garment that I want to become a wife in. And I noticed this fear, and I'm still in search for the words to really describe what was present and what was missing in those moments when powerful, beautiful, incredible brides couldn't communicate authentically of like, hey, this is who I am. And I was the community and support for them. I would go into the fitting room and I was like, do you like this? Do you actually like mom's pick? And she was like, no. So I, as her confidant, as her tribe, would come out of the fitting room and I would say for her, the bride really loves this dress. And kind of as a warning of like, I dare you to say something negative right now. I dare you.
Yeah.
And it was a subtle hint. But even in small spaces like that, having somebody that can see you, can hear you, like the real authentic you, and is a stand and an advocate for however that may look for in your life is so, so important.
Yeah.
I don't know if you asked me a question, if I even answered it. I just went off on a little tangent there.
No, I love it. And that was an answer to the question. And I'm so glad you finished with the word that you did, because the whole time, all I was hearing inside of me was like, you are the advocate. You are the person who will see somebody or members of the community, you'll see them, hear what's going on, see through the the facade that they're not sure that they're willing to come out from behind that mask yet, but
Yeah.
you see it and you're able to stand in the gap. You lend your courage, you lend your voice until they can find their own. It's kind of like the little baby fawn that's born, and it's like it knows it wants to stand up, but it's on shaking legs right now, and it's like it's gonna get its footing eventually, but you're there like standing in its place to say like, I dare you to attack this little one who's just trying to get its feet underneath it until it gets its courage up and can find its own voice and stand on its own. And so wherever somebody's at, some of these people I'm sure in the community are going to have their own voice, and they're going to have that. And that's one of the things that I absolutely love about community, is that everybody's at a different stage. And
Yeah.
so I know that
Okay.
there are going to be people in this community who are like, they're also advocates. They've been there, they figured out on their own how to get the results that they want. And so they're going to stand in the gap also in different stages. It's so great to be able to learn and hear, oh, you struggle with that too? How did you get over it? And it's like, you get to learn through other people's lessons. And I remember when I struggled with codependence, and I didn't really know how to get through it. And I've found faster ways to get through that kind of stuff now but one of the things that I did was I went to a 12-step program called Codependence Anonymous. And it was so interesting and so supportive. And it was like, I'm listening to these crazy people and I'm going, boy, that's crazy. Boy, I would never do that. And then they'd say something else. And I'm like, oh, that crazy thought it just rhymes with my crazy thought. Oh, I can see they're crazy. I didn't see my own crazy, but now I can. And it's similar in a community where, somebody shares something that's like, that's not my issue, but it's kind of my issue.
Yeah.
And you can ride their wisdom. You can learn their lessons by riding their coattails. And so it's just powerful. And I love what you're creating.
Yeah, I'm sure you've heard this, and I don't know if anyone listening has heard this, where we talk about how we're mirrors to each other.
Yeah.
And I think it took me a lot longer than I'm happy to admit to say how it took me a while for that to really land, for me to fully understand what we're mirrors for each other means. And man, when you say something, or when I say something, or your neighbor says something that you relate to, and you're just like, okay, here's the perfect example. Have you ever watched Grey's Anatomy? There's always at the end of the episode, Meredith Grey is talking about the life lesson that she learned and how it just perfectly applies to the patient, perfectly applies to whatever doctor, whatever drama is happening. And that to me is the perfect reflection of how we mirror each other. And really when we're open, when we're honest, and when we're vulnerable, we get to have connection. We get to establish that connection of, I see you. I can relate to you. You're going through something that I've gone through, or you're one step ahead of something that I'm going through now. And when we lend a hand and say, hey, let's go through this together, let me be there for you, be there for me because I need support and help too. Man, what kind of world can we create through that? Just wow.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I feel like this is kind of shifting gears out of nowhere, but you brought it up earlier. And I think that we talked in our last episode about your exploration with the poly community.
Yep.
And you said you were willing to kind of dive into that. And, as somebody who is all about the power of relationships, would you mind if we like explore that, because that is a community you referenced that you're still part of, and you have great relationships in there.
Yep.
And I know that on your journey of exploration, you've kind of landed at kind of a, I'm not going to call it unusual, because I've seen some people have that exploration and land at the same place. But can you talk about your journey of, you're married, you're in a monogamous relationship, and then you guys decide to do some exploration and that kind of stuff, and now where you landed and how, like, some of the thought processes through that?
Yeah, I'm absolutely honored to be able to talk about that. And I want to preface this with, I don't represent the poly community. These are just my views, my experience with it. And I did say poly community. As we're talking about community, really, polyamory does provide such a beautiful community. It has the opportunity to be a beautiful community if you are willing to do the work, if you're willing to be honest, to be connected with your polycule, your metas, and those are all terms that I can share into in a bit. But okay, Dennis and I got married at 24 and 25. And I just connected on such a deep level to this man. Just, we're still best friends now to this day. And when we got married and we traveled and when we got back, I dove right into starting my business. And so did he. He got a full-time job and he dove into starting his business. And I, as a wife and as a woman, I was like, come adore me, husband, love me, hold me, kiss me. I have a high sex drive. I wanted to engage in physical intimacy with my husband, and we didn't align with how we wanted to experience physical intimacy. We just didn't align. And for me, is an attempt to save our marriage, to still have the beautiful aspects of our relationship that we had, and still have physical connection and physical intimacy, we decided to open up. And I want to say this for anyone listening who is either polyamorous or considering it or just not interested at all. Do your research. I didn't. I didn't do the work. I didn't read the books. I didn't listen to the podcasts. I really didn't do enough research to inform myself so that I can make an authentic and aligned choice going into exploring polyamory. We made it work. We learned, we made mistakes, we grew from them. Some of them hurt, some of them changed us down to our core. And if this is something that you're considering, just do the work. Ask yourself, why? Why am I considering polyamory? My why at the time was I want to stay married and I want to have physical connection with somebody and somebody that I like and that I trust. When in reality, some people's why is, I have a lot of love to give, and polyamory is an opportunity to be able to explore connections without restrictions and limitations on what has to be and what it doesn't have to be. So we were poly for 8 years, and towards the end of our marriage, I got to, as I explored my own authenticity, really realize that I didn't align with it anymore. I did for a while, and it was fun and it worked for me, and I got to have the most beautiful connections through it, like truly just incredible connections, and people that I've met along the way that I love, that are dear friends, that I will still be friends with when I'm 97 years old and hanging out with them in our very, very old age. It's a community that really encourages people to be authentic, to be free, to express love in the way that it works for them. And it's also a community that you get to be honest and open and honest and vulnerable and really dive into learning how to communicate, to understand your why. Otherwise, you won't thrive in it. I just got to be completely honest. Like it takes a lot of work. And I realized for me that it was out of alignment. I wanted to have consistent love and physical affection, and not just when I was seeing certain partners. Like when I was home, it felt like I was just hanging out with my best friend. Dennis is my best friend, and a lot of our relationship really, really worked. And I couldn't ignore the part that didn't, because when it was just us two and we were alone, and I wanted physical intimacy and connection from my husband, and he was, for his own reasons, unable or unwilling to provide that for me, I got to respect that. I want my husband and my partner to love me authentically because they want to give that love, not because it's a necessity in order for us to stay in a healthy relationship.
Right.
So my choice now to no longer be polyamorous is mostly just because it's not in alignment to how I want to experience love and how I want to go about my life anymore. But I have seen and have so many examples of people who are doing it in beautiful ways, that they have thriving relationships with multiple partners and metas, which means like if you and I are dating, Mayan would be my meta because we have a similar partner. So they have really great relationships with their metas, and they establish polycules, which is basically like the partners that are dating within each other just come together and create their own unique family, and they support one another and show up for each other in such beautiful ways. There's so much more that goes into the ENM community, poly community, kink community, and I haven't even scratched the surface in it. But I'm glad that you asked that question because it was a huge part of my life.
Yeah.
And through that time of my life too, I feel like I even got to know myself on a deeper level that I think monogamy wouldn't have allowed me to explore just for myself,
Sure.
just for me. I'm not saying for anyone else, just my experience.
Right. Can I
Yeah.
ask you a couple questions on it? Because I'm just
Of course, yeah.
curious.
You're curious? Wow, I'm shocked.
So, like, one of the things that I guess that I feel like you kind of touched on but glossed over, like when you say like do the work like for yourself, like where does somebody go to do the work? Are there websites? Are there, are there books? Like how does somebody kind of explore? Because I've seen and heard couples like consider opening up, and like one of them is like, yay, I'm on board with this, and the other one's like kind of reluctantly like, maybe I need to do this to save my marriage, but I don't really know if I'm in. Like, how does somebody do that work? How do they explore that to figure out if it is in alignment with them or not?
Oh, great question. I love that you asked that. There are so many tools and resources available. So I started one of my real like introductions to understanding and doing work like that was through a Facebook group. It was just a local Arizona polyamorous Facebook group. And at that time, it may look different now. At that time when I joined and they welcomed new members, I was given a list of different websites, a list of different books, a list of different podcasts to listen to start getting curious, to start learning. A lot of people, I would hear this like, oh my God, don't you experience jealousy? Well, yeah, I'm human. Of course I do. And does the jealousy stop you from experiencing XYZ? So, learning about what's underneath the jealousy, learning about what's underneath your love language, learning about how to communicate effectively, learning about jealousy versus envy, learning about your own attachment styles, for example. Like, there were times when on long road trips, Dennis and I would take turns blasting music, and then we would listen to a podcast. And we would listen to people who were in polyamorous relationships talking about their experiences, talking about how to navigate challenges within the relationship, within themselves, with freedom, with anything really. So you could just go on Google and type in like polyamorous books, and then bam, you'd get a list. You can go online and find local communities. Facebook groups are really big. I hear that a lot of cities and states will have their own local Facebook groups for that.
Gotcha.
There are people on Instagram who talk about um, triad relationships, poly relationships, ethically non-monogamous. There are so many different ways to poly and to experience your own ethically non-monogamous journey. It's just knowing that being open to finding those resources, reading the books, being willing to say, hey, I'm facing this challenge, this inner challenge, and I'm confronting this emotion right now, and not leading from that place, but getting curious and understanding what that's communicating to you. And that way you can have a healthy polyamorous relationship. And honestly, that translates to monogamous as well. Like,
Sure.
hey, I'm experiencing this emotion. What's that about?
Yeah.
And then navigating it within yourself so that I show up as a healthy partner.
So what part, like it sounds like you were on the road trips, you're listening to the podcast, you're kind of getting this list. What did you skip? Like because you said you didn't do all the work that you wish you would have done. Like what did you learn that like, oh, I took this shortcut? What would you tell your younger self back at that time?
Ooh, that's a good question. I didn't do the work at the beginning. I just dove into, okay, let's try this out. This sounds fun. Downloaded an app, met somebody, and went through that. But I think what I would tell myself now is ask myself questions, truly. I love asking questions. Why are you doing this? And then when I got an answer, why are you doing this? And then again, why? But why? But why? To really get deep down to my own clear understanding of, am I choosing this for myself? Or like you said, am I choosing this to save my marriage? And then two, I didn't have boundaries. I didn't know how to set boundaries. I was such a people pleaser at the beginning of my poly journey that I like contortioned myself and bent myself over backwards to keep the peace. And it wasn't until one, big moment in my life that I asked myself, why did I do that? Why did I act in this way? And my answer was to preserve the peace. But really, what that caused was such internal turmoil that it was so out of alignment and inauthentic to me that really is what caused my emotional and intellectual spiritual awakening. Truly, that's what it was. So I would tell myself to set boundaries, to start learning about people pleasing, to really ask myself, is this in alignment and authentic to who I am? Am I choosing this for me or am I choosing this for somebody else? I think that would have helped me a lot. Not that I would go back and change anything. I'm grateful for the experiences that I had, even if some were incredibly painful. They've shaped who I am, and I'm happy with that.
I love that. And
Mhm.
I just want to say, because I was a person who kept the peace, and I know a lot of people, especially a lot of women, seem to find themselves in that place. I want us to reshape how we think about that. It's not keeping the peace, it's transferring the peace. You're transferring your peace to somebody else and you're taking all of the stress, you're taking all of the strife, you're carrying it now. It's not keeping it. There wasn't real peace there. And it's okay to like have like I always say this, conflict is going to happen. Actually, I'm going to steal this from an old author and speaker that I love. His name is Danny Silk. He's a pastor out of California. And he talks about in one of his seminars, he's like, conflict only happens whenever two people have any kind of interaction with each other. Because unless you're the same person talking to yourself, like you're different and you're going to have conflict.
Mhm.
But one of the things I love is that within every conflict is the opportunity for deeper connection. And that's where the curiosity comes from. We have a protocol that we lead our clients through. We call it the Curious Protocol. It's how to have that conflict. And in about 10, 15, 20 minutes, have a stronger relationship instead of just a big fight. So that Curious Protocol is something we do. But my point is, if you think that you're going to keep the peace by not saying something or by just like trying to bury the feelings or whatever it is, you're not keeping the peace. You're transferring
Right.
your peace to somebody else. Now they get to be in peace, but you are now living out of alignment and you're carrying this burden, this strife of, I just need to bite my tongue and deal with this. There's no peace in that. So you're not keeping any peace. You're transferring it.
Wow, that bonk. That was the bonk of genius because wow, wisdom, hello. That's incredible. There are so many different phrases that really allude to that same thing. Walking on eggshells. It's transfer of the peace. And man, that's challenging. In Poly, there were certain groups, at least in the experiences that I had in Phoenix, there were certain groups that, or people, individuals really, that hosted events and workshops to really help people navigate through those things. And with a group of the women that I was friends with, we would host vulnerability nights. And really, what that was is we set the intention that this was a safe space, that you are open to sharing whatever you want to share. And we got to talk about these things and then ask questions of like, hey, are you open to coaching? Are you open to questions? What kind of support do you need in this moment? Where we got to talk about those things, about challenges that we face with people pleasing, challenges that we face with keeping the peace. And I say that in quotations because what does that even mean? Right? I was taught to keep the peace at my expense.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's not something I am willing to do anymore.
Right.
And you bet your ass that I will again be an advocate for the people that I encounter in my life to encourage them to be authentic, to really reflect on who they are and why they're doing these things. Because people pleasing can show up in so many different ways in our life, and it takes a strong community of people who love you, who are willing to be honest and open with you to say, you're people pleasing right now, and it's gross. Let's do something about that.
It's so funny that I want to give some hope too, because I think the pendulum often swings, right? So it's like you have this person who recognizes they're a people pleaser. Oh, I need to have boundaries. Boundaries are about enforcement, and then all of a sudden they're just like, you don't want to be around that person because
Right.
like they're just harsh, right? And so there is a sweet spot in the middle. And one of the things that we teach our clients, our female clients especially, is like, how do you have boundaries and enforce them elegantly? Because when a woman is healthy, when she is healed, she can communicate her boundaries, and she can articulate the consequences of those boundaries without wild emotional swings. It's like, it's fine. If you choose to do that, that's totally fine. And here's what's going to happen. If you do this, this is what will happen. And like being able to regulate your own emotion and communicate those things in like an elegant, articulate way, there is nothing stronger than that woman, right? When she's not raging and wild and he's like, she's lost her mind, like she's crazy. And she is, like, in a sense, she's lost her mind in that moment. She's lost control of her emotions. Now he like feels justified, like she's just crazy. I don't need to listen to all that crazy that's coming out. But when she's elegant, when she's articulate, and she can regulate that emotion and communicate what's really going on, what she needs, what she requires, what that boundary looks like. Now he takes her seriously. It's like, she means that. Like she's thought this through.
Yeah.
Men are most of the time slightly more on the logical versus the emotional side. So if she can communicate that in an articulate way, it speaks to his logical mind. And he's like, that's something I need to take note of. Versus if she's a raging storm, he's like, I'm just going to go. I'll come back when the storm has abated and we'll start over again. So it's powerful. You don't have to go from one extreme to the other. You can land in the middle. And so I think there's hope for people there.
No, I love that you presence that. I think when I really started learning about myself and identifying what was underneath a lot of the actions I was taking, a lot of the stories I was repeating, what was underneath me not having boundaries, what was underneath the fear of even communicating those boundaries, I was like, watch out, world, I'm in my villain phase. I straight up
I gotta
pictured
go. Right now. I do not want to see you. I do
myself.
not want to see you in your villain phase. Nobody wants to see it.
It wasn't even a villain phase. I in my mind was like, oh, I'm channeling my inner Ursula, my inner Maleficent. Like, wow. No, it was me still shakingly saying, I have boundaries. Please respect them. That was really what my villain phase was. But it can be so easy to swing completely on the other end.
Yeah.
Going through breakups and divorce, I felt myself for a moment swinging from I love love, I'm grateful for love, to I don't want to be in love again ever. And I identified, whoa, I had that thought. I don't want that to be my story now. I don't want that to be my reality. So what I did in those moments, and what a perfect connection, is I turned to my friends and I turned to my community and I said, I just had this thought of like, F love. I don't want to, middle fingers to the sky, kind of like, no, no, no. I don't want to be in love. I don't want to experience that again. Talk me through that, because I know that's not the reality that I want to have. I don't want to be on the opposite end of, I'm a lover of love. That's why I worked in the wedding industry. I love celebrating love. And
Amen.
to
Amen,
hear
sister.
myself say, like, no, I turned to my friends and I was like, help me, and please. And they did.
Yeah.
And slowly, like, I started swinging back down to the center again. And I guess my center is really still loving love, but I was more balanced, I was balanced and not quite middle fingers to the sky. No, I don't want this.
Well, we both love love, and I think that's something that we definitely have in common. So I love that you've figured that out, and I love that you hold the space and support, your community with that. And certainly, if there's anybody listening that that you need help with that, and you want to be that powerful, elegant woman that like can articulate what's going on, we'd love to support with that as well. Because trust me, when a man meets that woman, Like he doesn't want to live his life without her. Like if you're that single woman who like can't figure out why like you haven't found that man, when you become that woman, like no man wants to live without you. So that's what we love helping with.
I needed to hear that too, Angus. Thank you. Thank you
Yeah.
for saying that because I am also in that place where I get to hear that and I get to accept that as the truth and just period. So I love what we come together to create. I love the opportunities that you and I continue to create for one another, to share our wisdom, to share our genius and our superpowers. Is there anything else that you'd like to add? Any other questions that you have? Any questions for our listeners too?
Oh, that's a good question. Do I have questions for our listeners? I mean, I'm always interested in what do they want to hear next? Like what questions do they have that we can explore? Because I always see these as an open conversation. Like when I partake in a lot of podcasts just as a consumer. I participate in a lot as well, like this, but I'm avidly listening to podcasts and I feel like I'm in the room. Like, and so I love creating conversations like that. So if anybody on who's listening has questions or has thoughts that they want us to explore, please throw them out so that we can look at them. I will end with something that goes back to that program that we were talking about in coaching. And my first group, I gave them a name. I called them the Cannonballs. And the reason I call them the Cannonballs is because they just gushed love all over each other. And I gave them that moniker because it's like the world, we all know that the world needs more love. And so we're waiting for other people to give love and like the government to like teach us to how to love each other more. And that is never going to happen. The only way that love starts is with you giving it to somebody else. And you can start small, or you can cannonball, cowabunga, splash love all over people, and people might be like, "You're weird. You're too like." And like for me personally, I don't care. Like I want you to know that I care about you, that I love you, that I'm willing to like feel the emotions come up even as I'm saying this. Like I love you, Vanessa. I think you're an amazing human, and I want you to win. I
Thank
want
you.
you to have that success, and I want you to take that and splash it on other people, and I want that splash to just keep going till the whole freaking, this fancy party where we're all behaving and sipping champagne is like cannonball. We all just like jump in the pool in our nice clothes and start acting the fool because the love is too much and we just want everybody to experience it and splash it around. So that's my message for today.
Oh, beautiful, amazing. I'm so glad I asked you that because wonderful answer. And I will end it with this. It's not as beautiful and poetic as that was, but that's okay.
I
My
got it.
question is to the listener, what did you hear? I once had a mentor say something really wise to me, and I was like, wow, that was incredible. And she looked me straight in the face and she says, I have said this to you so many times, but this is the first time you heard it. So, what did you hear? Why do you think that stood out to you today? And how is that reflected in your life? Last question, what are you going to do about it? I'll end it there. Angus, thank you so much for such an incredible conversation. I love when we get to sit down and just be authentic,
Yep.
be our joyful, authentic, open selves. We just get to create magic. And I hope that anyone listening gets to go out and create magic today too.
Me too. I'm already looking forward to the next one.
Thanks, me too.
All right, bye guys.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Curious Hearts Collective podcast with your host, Vanessa Trufin. Don't forget to check out any of the resources mentioned in today's episode in the show notes down below.